You're listening to Practical Bizz Podcast, serving up the fresh catch of the day. Prepare to indulge your entrepreneurial palate seasoned with the most mouth-watering practical business advice you ever tasted from business maestros who have made a splash in the industry. Your server today with over 23 years of business experience will be Erica Saccoccio, straight from the heart of Rhode Island, just like our lobster. She is delighted to have you at her table. Now grab your fork, tuck your napkin into your neck collar, and get ready to dig in.
Hey guys, welcome to Practical Bizz Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Saccoccio, and today we are going to talk about why having a HR company help you with all of your employment needs and all of the compliances and all the things you need to make sure that your small business doesn't get in trouble. With our very special guest, we have Kassandra McGlone from Insperity. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit, how did you get into the HR field?
Oh, God. Well, if I'm being honest, it probably started back when I was in college. I was a student of entrepreneurship. So I actually studied, I had this vision at some point in time that maybe I was going to start my own business. And I remember I took this class and we started learning about all these social aspects and communities. And so I had this really passionate idea that I was going to start some sort of social enterprise. I was going to somehow fix some problem out there in the world by starting my own company. And I didn't know if it was going to be for-profit, nonprofit, but I figured, you know what, let me get the basics. And quickly learned that's a very scary route. So a lot of respect for the business owners out there that are taking the challenge and doing it and making it happen. But for me, HR, and especially HR the way that Insperity does it, it was a window for me to still get to meet business owners that took that leap, speak with them, understand their passions, how are they going about it, and at the same time kind of being part of that creation without necessarily taking on the full risk of starting my own business. So I think that's really kind of what intrigued me to get into the HR realm, and specifically with Insperity as my avenue down that path.
So I think too, for small businesses, sometimes they think like, I'm a pretty small business. But I think that sometimes people don't think that they need it. And then they find out quickly when you don't do something right and you're out of compliance, that really would have, because you can't know every law. Yeah. You can't handle every situation in a way that always is the best outcome for your company. So that's where I think I can see the value in it for sure. So let's dig in and so tell me a little bit about how Insperity helps with HR solutions and how it benefits small businesses in terms of streamlining and processes.
Yeah. So super loaded question, and I know you'll probably dig into some other stuff more nitty gritty later on, but just to kind of bring it at a high level, I'll start with, how did Insperity ever even come to be? So it's funny. I'm sure just like you, when you first heard the name, like many people out there, no one's like, who's this Insperity? Who are they? We never heard of them. And funny enough, we've actually been around since 1986. So we're almost 40 years old, but we've grown just through organic word of mouth since our inception. And that's why a lot of people probably don't know about us. It's because it's all just through clients referring their other business owners, friends that they know, and just growing that way. And we've had tremendous success. We are across every single state, all 50 states, over 90 offices and growing, became publicly traded on the stock exchange. So just had an amazing success implementing what we do internally as an organization and spreading that out to small businesses. When we started, really the way that it came about was our founder, CEO Paul Sarvadi, who's still at the helm today, as an entrepreneur, found himself just so boggled down in the weeds, right? I'm sure you've seen that in time to time, or you talk to people. Oh my God, I got to read about this new law. You just said it, right?
Yeah.
I got to figure out what I need to do about this new compliance matter. I got to file these taxes. I got to onboard this person. I got to figure out what mandatory trainings the state of Connecticut or New York or Rhode Island has, right? And doing that, it's essentially, not to be cliche, but you get so boggled down in the weeds that you're not really working on growing the business. You're just busy in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he thought there's got to be a one-stop shop, kind of one place that can help me just button all of these aspects up, the financial, the legal, and the administrative needs of running a business and having employees, And there really kind of wasn't something out there that he loved. So he said, you know what, I'm going to create it. And it's all going to be about people and taking care of your people and leveraging HR, not as a cost center, but actually as a department and a resource that's helping you get the most out of your people, making them super engaged and productive. Because at the end of the day, they're what drive your business success. And so if they're engaged, they're productive, the company is going to succeed. Yeah. And that was his vision. And so that's how he came up with it.
I think too, well, you kind of hit the nail on the head right there as far as like right now, work culture is such a huge topic. Everybody is talking about it. And especially when you're trying to be competitive, right? Even if you just take all the compliance stuff aside, right? You're trying to be a really competitive employer, right? And we're all like vying for top talent. And so when you have a really strong work culture that is supported by a very thorough onboarding system and continually growing your people, really it makes you an attractive employer where people want to work. So even just all like you said, the financials and all like that people part is the reason people stay and how you really attract that top talent. So
yeah, 100%, right? I mean, you've probably heard the saying that people don't leave a company, they leave leadership or the cultural environment, right?
Yeah.
So it plays a part, and especially today where it's so hard to attract people and retain them, it's an important piece that often gets overlooked.
Yeah. So what specific HR services does Insperity offer for small businesses? Because we keep saying HR, but if you have a company and you have 10 employees, you may not really even know exactly what HR does, right? So can you talk about maybe what services you guys offer?
Yeah, so I'll kind of break it down really easy as the ABCs.
Mm-hmm.
So A being that administrative piece, right? We talked a lot, you mentioned it, administrative relief. And again, being bogged down in the weeds. So what do I mean by that? I mean, when you onboard someone, they've got an electronic link to fill out their paperwork themselves, self-serve. All of that gets streamlined and put into one system that speaks to all other aspects of payroll, time and attendance, things like that, right? So less manual work, more automated digital. So that's a lot of the administrative support. Also with filing taxes, processing payroll, timekeeping, all digital, and having that automatically integrate with payroll so that, again, it's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 steps less that you have to do manually, but rather you're really supported by a system. And then the key thing with Insperity is we also are really big on service. So the service team really provides hands-on consultative support and guidance that helps with a lot of administrative aspects too. Hey, here's the form, here's the link to it. We need you to fill it out. We'll help you file this on your behalf. So again, just a lot of administrative relief there. The B is on the benefits. And when I say benefits, I mean like the full picture, full suite of benefits, be it just medical or dental and vision, 401k, life insurance, short-term, long-term disability, maybe some other ancillary benefits that really help your employees get what they need, feel valued, have their bare necessities covered in a way that's sufficient for them so they can really focus on the organization. So helping you find good quality benefits at a really great affordable rate. Especially as a small business owner, it's hard to leverage that alone. So Insperity, that has, hundreds of thousands of lives in their benefits pool, helps give small business owners an economies of scale they couldn't get on their own. And then the C's, it's actually 2 C's. So the first one's compliance, right? We talked a lot about liability, legal risk, legal liability. So it's definitely helping with, both self-serve and hands-on service-oriented guidance and support. Do you have an employee dispute? All right, this is what needs to be documented. Here's some recommendations on how to have those discussions. Hey, here's a new law that came out. Here's how you can communicate it to your team. Here's what you need to implement in your handbook. Here's what you need to change as a business owner in order to stay in compliance and kind of stay out of compliance jail, as one of my clients once put it. So obviously a lot of assistance there. And then the last C is culture. It's that culture. It's that professional development. It's a strategic part of HR that really sets a business apart from organizations maybe that aren't taking that strategic approach, right? So taking care of your people, developing a culture that is in alignment with the organization's mission and vision, values, developing your people, their skill sets are developing, things like that.
Well, that's a lot of things.
Yeah.
So the first thing that when you had said the admin part and you had mentioned some of the things there, I think that as we all focus on our budgets, because the economy is very tight, just in the A part alone, what you mentioned, I pay 3 employees to do that, just that one part. I'm paying someone to call in payroll to a payroll company. I'm paying someone else to verify that the hours that are punched in and out are accurate. And then I'm paying somebody to onboard an employee. So that's 3 just in my one business I can think of.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably many childcare centers out there. We have a payroll person, we have an onboarding person. A lot of times it's the director who's taking time away from what their day-to-day is to do that. So I could definitely see how that could help you in the long run be more cost effective. And then also I think too, when you talked about benefits, like as small business owners, that's something that we struggle with. Many of us use like Aflac for supplemental insurance, but you're right. If you can buy it in a bulk way or through an organization that can give you much more buying power for your buck, also is another way to save money.
Right. Yeah, it's like when you go to BJ's and you buy a case of water versus the vending machine.
Yeah, and then breaking laws. Just because you don't know it doesn't still make you not liable for it. So fines and fees and penalties and things like that. So I can see how A, B, and C can definitely save a company money. And when you're looking at your resources that you have, because right now unfortunately, they're pretty limited in terms of employees, in terms of, extra cash flow. So I can see how that solves a lot of problems.
Yeah. And something too, like what I tell people, and I'll tell the community out there, is that there's nothing that I will say today or that I will share that I think will be crazy earth shattering to any business owner. Like I think for the most part, business owners that are in, they've started their business, they're running through all the motions. They know these things are important and they need to get done in some way, shape, or other. They're getting it done, right? They're running their business. My approach when I talk to people and I have initial conversations, it's really educational, because my question is, are you getting the best bang for your buck? And is it the most effective way to run your particular business at this point in time in your growth stage, right? There's many ways to do it. The question is it the most effective and efficient way for your business right now?
I think the other thing too is for businesses that are scaling, because I think you also hit the nail on the head there when you use the word scale. So if you run a small mom and pop place and you have 10 employees or less, you probably are managing that pretty well until day, 2, when you come see your business coach, and now you're working on opening up a second location or a third location or a fourth location. That changes. It changes everything. And I don't think that's something that people calculate when they're doing their business plan, right? I can make this much more money. I have to add this much more employees. But I don't think that they really realize how it changes the work culture when you scale without having good systems in place. So I can definitely see how, that would help. And in my own experience, when we had scaled up to 6 centers at one point, and it didn't feel good. It felt actually exactly that. It didn't feel the same as when I had 1 or 2 or 3. So we actually scaled back, because for me, it was important. My work culture is I want to know my employees. I want to know my students. I want to know my families. And it became to a point where you couldn't really do that at that level. So I could see how if you scale up, you would need a company like Insperity to really maintain that level of quality and standard that you want for your business.
Yeah, for sure.
How does Insperity assist small businesses with managing payroll? You had mentioned payroll, but can you talk to us a little bit more about how that works?
Yeah, I mean, I think of payroll, I always say it's one of those fundamentals of HR, right? Because everybody wants to get paid. Right. No, some people are going to be really upset if they don't get paid. And so it's just something that, for us, it's a fundamental piece. We know how to do it. We know how to do it well. We offer to every single one of our clients in any of our HR models a dedicated payroll specialist. They're literally someone whose single role is to help the business owner and or the payroll contact to process payroll on time, accurately, and make sure employees get paid, make sure taxes get processed. So other than systematically streamlining all of that, right, all of a sudden your timekeeping all integrated. Everybody's payroll, commissions, extra pay stubs, all of that is super automated in the system, and you get automatic reports available to you whenever you need them. So it makes it just so easy and simple. But I think the payroll specialist is really what makes the difference. They're, again, a dedicated contact whose name you get to know, who personality you get to work with. They get to understand your business when you process payroll. And eventually, after a while of processing a few payrolls, it just becomes such a smooth process. So that's really the difference in the Insperity way when it comes to payroll.
Yeah. So I had an opportunity to meet with a gentleman from your company who really showed me like the technology side and the dashboard. And so I thought that was really interesting. So can you share a little bit about what you have on that platform and how your technology assists small businesses?
Yeah, sure. So we have technically two models for HR, two like comprehensive HR models for organizations, small, medium-sized businesses. And I'll share what's very similar about both of them. One, we developed ourselves. So it's fully Insperity proprietary tech. And the cool thing about it is that when they were developing it, they actually tested out the market with some business owners, and they saw what were the most common kind of fields and buttons that they were picking at or clicking on all the time. And so those widgets or those buttons, those are the first ones that the clients see as soon as they log in, or when the employees log in, right? Those are the ones that are immediately available. So it's very intuitive in that sense. And our secondary tech, same thing. I mean, it's very intuitive, very self-serve, very easy to understand. I mean, the platform where you onboarded as an employee is going to be the same one that you would go in to get your W-2s. And you could get them as soon as they're ready, right? You don't have to wait in the mail. You can go and check your pay stubs. You can look at as far back as you want since you've been an employee at that company. It's the same place where maybe you clock in and out if you have to clock in and out, or where you would approve your time if you're like a salary exempt employee. You say, yeah, I worked my 40-hour work week. Boom. Same place. Also, same platform where you would enroll in your benefits if your company's offering benefits, right? Again, PTO, it would be the same platform. You log in the morning and you request your PTO, and your manager can go ahead and approve it.
We have that.
It's just, again, I mean, we talk about administrative relief and ease of use. It's made so that anything that you need to administer as a business owner or leader as it relates to your employees' information, anything that you as an employee want to see, it's all in one place. It's all in the same place. And I know we talked about this just before, but it's also the same place where you can access the trainings.
Yeah.
So, your professional development, your pay stubs, your benefits, your timekeeping, all of this is all in one platform. And there's a ton of customization that Insperity does to make sure it meets the needs of the particular client that we have at that time, right? Because different industries and even different size businesses where you are in your growth stage, some things might be more important to you and or critical to you than others. Yeah. Like I think of my nonprofit clients who manage grants and grant dollars and have to allocate that to specific hours worked or projects or employee hours. And that's just one example of how we help provide administrative relief and streamline things, right? We're helping customize the system to help our nonprofit clients track grant dollars to hours that employees worked, and then provide them with automated reports for when they go and they have to report that when they reapply for
definitely
grants.
Very helpful there.
I mean, it's so time consuming, but right, that's just one step of how we're trying to.
And I think too, certain industries, actually most industries have, some type of professional development that they have to do, and it's usually very industry specific. And so, there is a lot of support for that in our field, but my leadership doesn't get training on, the newest HR law, or how to handle a toxic employee, or, how to handle those types of things. So I did find like Insperity had a lot of leadership type of trainings on there. And I think, that is helpful not only for the business owner, but the folks that work under them. If you want your higher level people to be, comparable to you in terms of skill set, you have to be able to provide that for them. And sometimes it's, again, outside of your industry type of things.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that was good. How does Insperity provide small businesses with access to HR experts and consultants who could offer guidance and support around various HR matters?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, like service is just it's a part of our model that is we're really proud of. It's key about our brand and how we differentiate from so many other HR partners or vendors or tech vendors that are available in today's market. And so when it comes to HR, we always say we're not a tech company, we're not a payroll company. We are an HR company. That's what we started back in '86, and that's what we continue to do and offer to our clients: HR guidance, HR support. You probably saw my card, we even say like HR that makes a difference. So whichever model you are on, one of our comprehensive HR models, you get access to professional HR people, service members that are there available to you to consult with, to ask questions, to bounce off situations. So for example, if you have an employee dispute, you can call your HR specialist and say, hey, how do I deal with this, right? I have a disgruntled employee, they're upset with their coworker, this happened, what's the best course of action, right? So depending on the model, you might get a team of 3 of HR specialists that you kind of get to work with, or you get kind of that one dedicated HR specialist with their manager, right? Depending on where your needs are, you might prefer one or the other. But they are either SHRM certified, master level HR professionals, or have years of experience, not to mention the backing of their HR manager, and that manager having the backing of other managers throughout the Insperity organization. So there's just a wealth of knowledge from a lot of tenured people that can provide really, really good, active, real-time guidance.
So before I ask any more questions, hey guys, if you're enjoying this content, we ask that you like, follow, subscribe, leave us a comment below. We really appreciate it. It does help us be able to support other small businesses, especially in Rhode Island. We love you, Rhode Island, Mass, Connecticut. You guys are my favorites. And then, of course, our listeners in Germany. So strange, but we do love our friends in Germany who literally tune in every week. So make sure you do that. So
Morgan,
let me ask you a question, because obviously Insperity isn't the only HR company out there. So what maybe questions or things should people know as they start to look for an HR company? What should they be asking? How do they, pick the right company for them?
Yeah, there are definitely a ton of options, right? And although I do absolutely love Insperity, I love the brand, I love it, a little biased, but
yeah,
I think there may be other companies out there that are better suited for you than Insperity, and that it really comes down to what is it that you specifically need as a business owner to move on to that next stage that you're working towards. And that's where all my conversations start, which is really trying to understand what's critical for you. First of all, what's your goal as a business owner? Where are you trying to get, right? Is it growth? Is it headcount? Is it revenue? Is it expansions? What is it and why, right? And do you feel like you have the tools and resources to get there? And if not, let's figure out what are the tools and resources that will help you get there most effectively. And then I'm trying to understand, does Insperity have the right toolbox for you or not? And just tell you outright. So I think for any business owner out there trying to figure out who's the next best business partner that they're going to team up with to get them to the next stage, really understand where you want to go, what you feel you need to get there, and how you want that relationship to look like. One thing I ask people to really be critical of is, how do you want the service piece to work, right? A lot nowadays, everybody says they offer service, but the way that it's offered is very different. Have you met with the service team you would work with, right? If service is important to you, have you spoken to those individuals? Have they given you examples of how they would work with your particular business in the cases that you typically see? Do you understand truly if it's a center or a dedicated individual? Which one do you think is better for you and your business, right? So getting granular. Same thing with if you have reporting needs as an organization, maybe you need to be in compliance with certain government requirements, understanding what that entails, and clearly asking for examples, like example reports, or speaking with a tech engineer to say, okay, here's an example of my report. How can you help me automate this? Or how can you help me streamline this, right? And just get really granular. So I think ask to meet the individuals you might work with, ask for examples of reports and or tech capabilities that might be critical for your business, and just come with the knowledge of where do I want to get to, and maybe resources I think that I need.
Okay. So my last question I want to ask, because I know people might be like, this all sounds great. What's it going to cost me? So how does Insperity's pricing structure work for small businesses, and what factors should small business owners consider when choosing an HR solution provider like Insperity?
Yeah. So I mentioned before, there's really nothing that I'm saying here that probably most of our business owners aren't already doing, just in a different way. So I think first things first, the factors to consider is understand where are you already investing dollars and or time, right? To your point, 3 people helping out, dollars and time into HR things, be it timekeeping, PTO, payroll, benefits administration, workers' comp, compliance matters, legal assistance, etc. Onboarding.
It's so consuming.
It
is so consuming. I mean, as a business owner, for me, like that would be my pain point. A new employee, it's not like you can onboard somebody in 3 hours, especially in our field. Like onboarding process is like, well, first of all, it's always ongoing, but I mean, it really can take somebody 90 days really truly to be fully immersed in, in our culture, understand our standards. Like it's not like a one and done thing,
Oh, no.
It's not. A lot of times we think the onboarding is like, here's the bathroom, this is Susie, this is John, sign this paper here, welcome to the team, here's your t-shirt, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
But we all know that that's not a great process.
So much, it takes so much more.
That's why people leave, right? You have to make sure that is really, good and in place. Yeah.
So take into consideration things like these, like your time and where your dollars are being spent, and having a good idea of that. And if you don't, if you're talking to Insperity, someone at Insperity, the beauty is that we actually have a working session with our, prospective business owners that are considering us to actually build that out for them. So we'll just take the reports, we'll have a conversation, and we'll actually help them figure out those current costs today and what that would look like in the next 12 months. And then, we'll show them the Insperity solution, show them where we might be able to replace some people that they're working with and or enhance some vendors that they're working with, right? Bring it to the next level, because obviously what we're looking for is getting to that end goal, that improvement. And then helping them understand, well, here's really the difference, right? So in our workforce acceleration model, one of the models I talked about, it's a predictable flat per active employee per month fee, right? The beauty about that is that business owners don't have to worry about being nickeled and dimed because of a new widget that they need access to. When you need something, it's there for you to use. You don't have to worry about additional costs. We're trying to give you the full toolbox to help you grow your business, have it run better, faster, and not have to worry about nickel and diamond for another thing that you now all of a sudden need. So that's very predictable. And then in our workforce optimization model, we oftentimes bring in benefits into the mix and this really high-touch dedicated service team. So understanding those HR costs is also very helpful. And again, if you don't know them, no worries. We'll help you build out that calculation and understand where your costs are today so that you can see the difference of, well, if I brought all of that to Insperity and supported my internal HR team with the additional resources Insperity has, really the difference of what I'm spending today and what Insperity, would cost, it's only this. And we'll be able to share that with them. And again, it's a flat, predictable per employee per month fee with Insperity so that, as you grow, you're getting all the resources. We're a very scalable model.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, so take a look in the camera and let folks know. First of all, I love the mug. Let folks know how they can get a hold of you and your team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thanks everybody for listening. I hope this was useful and you learned something new. But if you wanted to have a more in-depth conversation with myself or anybody on my team, Insperity is located right in downtown Providence at One Citizens Plaza. You can reach out to me to initiate that if you'd like. My email is just Kassandra.McGlone@Insperity.com. That's KASSANDRA.MCGLONE at Insperity.com. Or you can reach me on my phone at 401-215-3052. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Practical Bizz Podcast, and thank you for helping us become Rhode Island's fastest growing business podcast. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye.
I hope you caught all the seasoned strategies, the success stories, and practical business advice. Subscribe now and feel free to invite a fellow foodie of entrepreneurship to join you at this table next time. Let's reel in success together. Thank you for joining your wicked smart server, Erica Saccoccio, for another full course business meal from the Practical Bizz Podcast.